show you today.
Great. Oh yeah, it's working a lot better. Oh, funny. Good. Do you like the new shot?
Yeah,
Good.
it's working good.
Yeah, I think all this stuff is working good. I wonder if this last one, for me, I would just let this backhand do more like what you did with this arm, where you're really just dragging it. Like you're already,
high arc.
Yeah. You're dragging it there. You probably push that because you kind of keep the angle here, which is great. It's a fun cheat. You can actually get from a more pushed arm here, where we're seeing the back of the arm, just like you are, just kind of push the elbow that way. And then you can get to this pose, which is fun. And then from there, that's where you want to have your reversal. You want that to happen this way.
Okay.
And yeah, let that come right through the camera, with the hand coming, arcing like that.
Just like left arm.
More like the left.
Yes.
More like the other arm.
Yeah.
Because he's like kind of doing a swimming thing, which is kind of funny, but I think it's harder to read.
Okay.
And then, she's funny. Do you always work with the flat shaded?
No, I switched it this month. Wait, this week.
It's interesting. Some people at work do this as well because they like to see how the mesh is moving.
Yeah, it's kind of useful.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I've never gotten to the habit of it, but I'm used to seeing it this way because people at work show it this way.
So I'm not satisfied for this shot and the second one. It's working better, but not what I want.
I see.
Anyway.
Well, maybe we should like use more reversals. Like have a good read, because here you got a really fun shape.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to have a read where the legs are kind of broken the other direction.
Okay.
And then you can still go here, you know. You can still get to these poses. It'll just be snappier timing because you're reversing the shape, which I think works with what you've been having a lot of snappy timing, so I think that'll be kind of cool. Yeah, the legs feel a little bit static through here, so that'll help. It'll just it'll give a lot more energy.
The hands is good. I like hand this section.
Yeah, and then you could kind of do the same thing on the way down. Probably like it's almost like squash and stretch on the way down. So they kind of squash here in the air, and then stretch on the way down. Squash, stretch, squash, stretch. Yeah, squash. So it's really just this middle section that needs the work on the legs, because this stuff's working pretty awesome. This gets a little confusing here. This pose.
This pose.
This pose, it's a little, there's so many limbs, the head, it's like a little muddy. I don't know what to do, I think. That one's clean. works in motion. I think it's just that back arm. Let that back arm just kind of be clear of the silhouette.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just work better. Yeah, I think you should be pretty happy. I think it's working a lot nicer. The timing is fun. Bam.
For me, it seems kind of weaker, maybe. Maybe because of camera movement.
Uh,
I don't know. What do you think?
well, if you want it to be stronger, you know, you can play with this basing. Oops, there you go. Let's see. You know, you can play with your spacing a little bit. So at the high, drop it. You know, you've got the tighter spacing here, and then maybe you do let it kind of gap all the way to like this pose, and then your squash, and then maybe you have like another frame of squash for like extreme, like spend less time on the way down and just more time enjoying the fun stuff, which is at the top of the arcs and the squashes. You know, it's not exactly natural timing, but in cartoons you do this all the time. You just kind of favor one side or the other.
Okay.
So maybe that will give you that punch that you're looking for, because if you look at this section, he does fall kind of evenly.
Yeah.
So you could actually just favor that top, you know, probably get rid of this frame, you know, and then this frame is more similar to this, where he's already kind of getting squashed.
More snappy, yeah.
Yeah, just I think
Snap it in extremes.
the ideas and poses are all working now. Just play with just nudging the timing a little bit snappier. I like that it's more physically based because it gives it hurts more.
Yeah.
Which is good. You just want it to feel really painful. That's what the comedy is. Like, you're hurting this poor guy. And then these poses here are a little...
Yeah, I don't like this section, actually.
Yeah, it's a little simple.
Something
It's just everything is just so even.
But if I want to do something with hands or legs, it's flicker a lot.
Does it? Because it feels like that leg that's pointing up right through here. Like if it was, all right, there's like your stretch. It is flickering a little bit. If you watch it, the arc isn't that good on that foot.
Yeah.
I just feel like you want to just keep the reality of those forces. So that foot has a weight, you know, and so when it's frame through.
The next frame.
Yeah, so when you're arcing that down, you know, think about that. It's not going to come here and then kind of bounce from there. It needs to, the weight of it has to keep traveling down. It doesn't necessarily have to contact, but you have to explain. It's that part that's weird.
Yeah.
So just let that foot have more weight as it comes to the ground, and I think that part will solve itself. It's cool. That part we talked about. I think it would be funnier in here to drag his, like you do this bounce, that's fun, and then there I want it to be like bounce and drag, so we kind of like or looking up his face.
Yeah, try.
And that'll give you sort of a funnier expression of him like looking down his nose. Should be fun. And this shot, I like this shot. I think you can actually spend less time here. So it's like she can kind of stop and turn, like overlap those ideas a little bit. So she stops and kind of turns as part of the stopping. Like the weight coming down on that final footfall is sort of like an anticipation to a take. Like, huh? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just want to make it.
Yeah, I think
he lead with her hand, with her head in this part. Eyes, head, then body.
That's right. I think it's a good.
Before she turns. Little overlap. Yeah, I should be.
And then you might be able to just shorten the shot. Again, like cutting it a little bit sooner. Huh? Little eye dart. Yeah. I just feel like maybe we spend too much time here. Like I don't know what each of the thoughts is. I know she turns, she's like, what? Did I hear something? And then she listens harder. Like you might want to do something in there where she's like squinting or something, to like almost like she's like trying to listen. Like, did I hear something?
Okay.
Yeah.
Change this expression.
Yeah, just make sure that each expression has its like own kind of clear storytelling point. That, you know, first she turns, she's like, she thought she heard something, huh? And then she's like searching, did I hear something? And then then she just walks away, which I think is funny. I think the way it ends is great. So. And then just think about on the ending, like if she goes, the way that you can kind of overlap that idea with her walking away. She's like, and sort of her momentum kind of carries her, and you can maybe just have like some overlap in the head. It'll just give her some attitude on the way out, which I think will be fun. Cool.
Yeah.
Looking good, man.
And take a look on previous shot.
Sorry, I missed one.
When he fall then on the ground.
Oh, this one.
Oh, this one.
That's great. My only note is on the eyes and.
Yeah. Some problem with deformation here in hip area.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a. You want to try as much as possible. Again, if we can do like you were saying, like get in there and maybe we'll fine tune the deformation on the eyes, because they're hard to read. It's a little pushed. You may not have to go that pushed with the asymmetry to get the idea.
I was thinking to make his expression here more realistic, just a little bit.
I think
Maybe
that would help. It'll help it feel. It'll help it feel more painful, and more painful will be a bigger laugh. It'd be like ooh, like maybe the tongue isn't hanging out. They're just like it just feels like ugly, you know.
Okay.
Like this eye could be all kind of like, because you have like, this is all squashed, right? So that eye could be like kind of squashed shut. And this one could be all like bulging out. And like all the all the cheeks and everything are pushed off to the side.
Okay.
And then you could even have some fun, maybe like slight overlap on parts of the fleshy parts of the face, kind of squashing. Yeah, if you want to take a realistic pass at this, or more realistic,
Just a little bit.
I think it'd be fun. And then just make sure that the eyes, they don't travel backwards here. So when you peel the head up, just make sure that the eyes don't slip back before they peel up. So it goes,
Okay.
you know. That's all. You know, the shoulders don't typically dip too far below 0, unless you're really like pushing them down. So I will drop them below 0, but just not too far. Now the thing with breathing is usually you have like, it's like a lot of air escapes really quickly, and then there's like a slow like ease into that pose. And then I find like an inhale feels like a nice even breath. Like, but again, like you have to find, each breath sort of has its own characteristics, but I'd say the most sort of common breath would be like, it's kind of like you let the breath just come out so the shoulders kind of drop and then ease into that lower position, then nice kind of even build up and then kind of pause there before the exhale. So if you're going to put that in curve form, which I'm working on one little screen here, but I'll do my best. Let's see if I can do this. Where'd they go? Okay, so we talked about how the breath kind of drops sharply, right? And then we have a nice long cushion. So we can drop some keys in there. Get in there. Let's just do the one just to show you the difference. So you can see that nice long cushion in there. A nice steady inhale, and then it would kind of loop. So we can actually just start with just that curve, and I would usually watch it loop a few times to just see if that's like got the right sort of cadence. Is that the right tempo for the shot? Is it too big? Like right now it feels like he's hyperventilating, right? He's probably he's breathing much too hard for what we want. Oops. So maybe I'll bring down my peaks a little bit. Maybe I'll breathe along with it too to see if it feels right. I really get into the scene. Say I'm happy with that. Now what I'll do is I'll actually copy that curve, right? Literally just do a copy of it. And I'll get that curve onto my rotation of the character, like the RX, under the forward and back rotation. Because I feel like the spine, as you're breathing, kind of rotates forward. And you probably have to counter the neck a little bit, but just to get sort of the core of it, you get this little bit of, as the lungs fill up, it kind of rotates back. So you can get that real easy just by pasting that in there. So let's look at that. Okay. So right now it's actually going the wrong direction. So we'll scale it. I usually just scale it just the opposite direction. So there's a little exhale. And there's the inhale.
Nice.
So he's breathing pretty hard here.
Yeah.
But now the shoulders and the spine are all working together. And maybe sometimes I'll play with just like offsetting things slightly. Maybe I'll be like, well, what if sort of the shoulders sort of led the chest, you know. So maybe I would just like kind of offset the chest a frame just to see how that feels. And it's always a feeling thing for me. I'll kind of, sometimes I have to play with it, and maybe I don't like that. So try, I'll try it the other direction. Which now it feels like he's like he's like almost like, I feel like now he's like gasping or coughing.
Right.
You play with those things. I think you can generally, for like a really subtle breathing, you can probably keep them on the same keyframes if, if it's very subtle, because all you're looking for is like a little bit of rise in the chest and to feel those shoulders growing. And then if we had a really good scale in the chest, I would probably, bring that in there. I got to dig into the rig and see. I know there's another control that lives right here that scales that area. But I think I just